We are going live. Hey, everybody, it's showtime. Showtime, and I'm a giant nerd. All right.
do. Oh, yeah.
Ready to go live. Hello, everybody. It's a dinosaur. His name's Rex and blah, 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 bloop. Do. Yeah! This episode is sponsored by Quack Alert. They are ridiculously in love with ducks. I have no clue why, but you know what? It's cool. Hey everybody, it's Chris from Charity Board Gamer. I'm pretty sure Patrick's like, really? Is this what I just got myself into? But
no worries.
But hey, we're going to be talking about some really cool things tonight. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is, of course, Leader Games. Patrick, being the founder of Leader Games, and we're going to be talking about what's going on over there. But also, we're going to be talking about Open Arms in Minnesota. I'm going to have the website pulled up later. We're going to take a look at it, and then ways for you to get involved. If you're in the Minnesota area, there's ways for you to get involved, or if you want to be a wallet and you want to help out towards that organization and what they're doing up there, you are going to be seeing a link later on that you can click and actually get involved as well. But Patrick, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. My pleasure.
So what is on your shirt though? I've got to ask.
Oh yeah. You know, it was funny because I was like looking at my phone. I was like, oh, maybe I should have worn a Leader Games shirt today. But this is from Katamari Dynasty, the one of the characters pushing the Katamari ball, and it's kind of like a little galaxy instead of the ball. So I picked it up at probably the last convention I went to. PAX East.
Really nice.
Yeah.
No, I didn't they just come out with like something like a remastered version of the older game or something recently?
Yeah, the very first one got a remastered game, and it was on the Switch at first, and because the sticks are in line with each other, I've heard from multiple people, it wasn't just me being an old man, but I was like, people were like, no, it's just not the same. You need this because you got to control the two joysticks, and it's better on the PlayStation controller. And they just released on the PlayStation, so I'll probably pick it up on PlayStation.
Looks like we got some people watching with us right now. We've got Peter Riggs. Peter, thanks for joining in. He says, Woot, Boston. What Boston? What are you talking about?
Oh, because of PAX East.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, I know the Pats didn't go to the playoffs. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I was shocked. I'm married to a girl from Pittsburgh, and she always has enjoyed over the 18 years of marriage, just rubbing it in how my team has never made it to the playoffs. And so for me, it's kind of nice to actually see a playoff since the 1994 I think is the last time that we had it. So yeah, it's brutal, but it's worth the marriage. So I have not had a chance to play it on the Switch yet. I think the latest game that I played on the Switch,
PlayStation.
I'll have to check it out. We don't have a PlayStation, so we'll have to look at that at some point. But we've been playing on the Switch. We've played the latest version of Wingspan, the digital version, which
Sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's the same thing as the one that was done on Steam, just a little different with the interface. Works pretty well. I'd love to see Root go to the Switch. I think that'd be a fun one to see.
I think it's in the works. I don't even know if I can say that officially.
It's okay.
Well, I might lose my contract, but that's all right.
Never mind. All right, I didn't say anything. No, I mean it'd be fun to see games like that hit the system because I like the being able to play online.
Their website says kind of the same too. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, no, we've got the Steam version here at our house, and we've enjoyed it a lot. So we'll play it here right downstairs. So
Been amazed by the response to it.
well, it's great. I like the little animations, the music. I don't know who you got to do the music, but it fits because it really goes along with like the combat and everything. Just fits really well with the different sounds and everything, and it's cutely done. I've never really played much in regards to Root. That actually, the digital version was my first time ever doing it.
I'm sure.
Hey, Allison's on here from Kidsplaining. She says hello. Oh, yep. And Peter says love Root on Steam, and the Android app is great. I'll have to check that out sometime. And I'm pretty sure I'm getting a call from Kentucky. I got a feeling that that's somebody from that we might know. But yeah, I'll have to.
Mitch McConnell.
What?
Mitch McConnell?
No, I'm thinking it's maybe Jesse from Quackalope.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but no, it's craziness. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I've talked a little bit about Root already, but
Sure.
tell us about yourself, your journey. Like, what were some of the games that you really enjoyed growing up? And then what kind of got you into the realm of, okay, I want to go. I know you didn't start in design and board game industry. Instead, you went from a different route, and then you said, I need to go do something different. I remember hearing about that. But I'd love for others to be able to hear your journey. So please share.
So I had an older brother who played Dungeons and Dragons, and he kind of was getting out of it when we moved from California to Minnesota. So he packed up his stuff, and I stole it one day, and like a good little brother, and started playing it in earnest, and that kind of like got me into gaming. That was Dungeons and Dragons, like the basic set. The two basic sets were kind of my gateway, and kept role playing pretty steadily through high school. At the time I didn't really understand board games because they were, in the late 80s, early 90s, they were like a different beast, right? There was a few Euros, but it was mostly like heavy war games or like, just the staples of your childhood, basically. So I stayed away, and then one day in my junior year of high school, I picked up, just out of the blue, I was like, it'd be nice if we had a board game we could play and there have been like board games in Dragon Magazine that kind of had different themes, but we picked up a copy of the Mayfair edition of Cosmic Encounter when I was a junior in high school, and we didn't have any other board games back then, and I probably, I played stuff like Acquire, Masterpiece, and Clue, like a lot, and then when we got that game, I think, I'm guessing I probably played 100 games of Cosmic Encounter in my junior year of high school, and I bet you it was 200 in my senior year of high school. So I picked up Steam, and we're still role playing, but it was getting harder and harder to role play until I went to college, and so that kind of carried me through. Then it was like Robo Rally, of course, came out in the early 90s, and that helped. I got into Necromunda, which was Games Workshop, of course, and I got into Warhammer Fantasy as I was getting out of college. And I'd been designing a little bit back then. I kind of looked at Tom Lamb, and I thought, well, I can do really easy art aesthetic and make my own games. And so I was doing some of that on days off I had from work and stuff like that. But it was hard. And right around 2000, I had a friend who had studied game design, in college. As much I just put that in quotes because he took it seriously, but it just wasn't a lot to study back then. He came for a visit. I was working at a job in Denver. He came for a visit one week, and he designed this game in front of me, this board game in front of me, and I still have the prototype for it in my basement. And we played it, and I was like, God, that wasn't really that bad. And he had been designing for years because he had been designing for a friend's video game company, and he'd been designing for he'd been writing some role-playing games on IRC that had very involved systems that he created. So he it went well beyond just a homebrew system. It was something he could publish. And and so I kind of took off from there. I kind of got the bug. I designed 4 or 5 games between 2000 and 2001. and kind of kept working on it after that. Did some writing for a while, and then came back to it eventually. And by like 2005, I was gaming 2 times a week, like role playing and playing board games on the other nights, and just playing a ton of board games and collecting a ton of board games. And I thought I'd like to do it, but I didn't get serious about it until much later, until like 2009, 2010, when I finished a game called Five Fingered Severance, which James Manthey published through Minion Games. I don't know if you've. And of course, James passed away last year, but and so that was kind of my introduction to that. But yeah, so I published Five Fingered Severance 3 years later, kind of piggybacking on the process I'd learned from James, and seeing how Kickstarter was doing. I had a small Kickstarter for a game called Trick or Treat, which was just a 2-deck card game. And I would love to republish it someday. We can talk about how I would do it in the company, and got through that, and was kind of searching around for something else to work on, and wasn't really having a lot of luck designing myself. And a friend of mine said, you need to just get something back on Kickstarter. You figure out how to do it. Like, here's 3 of your designs that would work. And I still didn't believe I could do it. And then I discovered Vast right around that time, and picked up Vast, which is my asymmetric dungeon crawler. Vast started with a fellow named David Somerville, but I did quite a bit of redesign on it, and kickstarted that and released it the next year. So, and as luck would have it, I was just I'd been working for 10 years at a college in town, not too far from where I live right now, and I've been working there as a database analyst. And I loved the job when I first got it, and after 5 years, I was kind of not doing well in the job anymore. But it was frustrating because it was sort of work that, like, if I went to a larger place to do it, I'd just be in a large unit, and I was having trouble connecting the experience I had to a large data center, and so I wasn't really getting a lot of interest from corporate employers. And a lot of people saw, and I like HR people would say, well, you're lazy because you've been working at this college for 7 years. It's like, sometimes people look down on nonprofit work or government work. And so I changed divisions within that job, and that was a disaster. Like, I just got really depressed, and I hated, I didn't hate, but I just wasn't thriving. And I was like, the person I was working with, I was trying to learn how to do some web development from, and at the same time as having a child for the first time. And so I was just having a really hard time focusing on the job, and more effort was being put into publishing games. It was Trick or Treat shipped during that time, and I was working on Vast during that time. And as luck would have it, I just kind of said, like every party said, this isn't working. And I left that job, and really scary. I had, they gave me a little bit of severance, and I had some money saved up, but we were getting kind of low at that point. My wife hadn't been working for a while, and just made a go of it. I took 4 months off and finished up Vast, got it to Kickstarter. I had to start another job. Like, I did a contract job at a large data farm that I wasn't able to get a job on a couple years before. Really scary, hard job. It required 10 years of Oracle experience to get into the entry-level job at that place, or a PhD. And so it was a bizarre environment, because I went from like being like the expert in my field to like just being terrible at compared to other people at the job. But yeah, I took off, and I took off a few days there, started the Kickstarter, and then things kind of just worked out since then. I did have to go back to consulting one more time. And fortunately for me, as I was getting used to that job, that company got sold, and they axed a bunch of people. And so I had to go back to, I got to go back to doing games full time. And that was it. I haven't looked back since then. So
That's pretty amazing. I mean, when you say data analyst side, I think SQL because that's kind of the
Yes,
language.
yep, yep. Yeah, I did SQL. I've done some SQL that I mean, I've worked with some people that have like I worked with a fellow, like the CEO of the company I was working at. He set up the data center for so like Microsoft gave this company, I can't remember, it's one of the Fortune 500 companies. Microsoft gave them a discount so that they could prove that the Microsoft SQL Server was going to be as effective as Oracle. So this guy set up their data center, and I'm talking like thousands of tables of data architecture
Mhm.
and how to load that data. And so that's the sort of like brilliant people we're dealing with. And so I went from like, here's how you write a program so that the user can understand it, to this query has to manipulate 100 million rows in a data set in a few minutes. And how do you work in that environment? And it was very challenging. And they were like, even the guy I worked for was like, no, you will not know how to do anything for a year, and you're just gonna have to get used to it. And it was hard. So anyway, so yeah, but yeah, that's what I was doing. Yeah.
No, I mean I understand that because even learning SQL the first time, understanding inner joins and outer joins, just in
Mhm.
a general understanding of that, it's kind of like visualizing it. You can see it better, but at the same time, typing it and realizing it and figuring it out. How do I pull this from this and this from this, and somehow make A and B connect?
And then doing it with Fortune 500 companies data sets that are like, so what we did was we did predictive analysis of like this very sophisticated predictive analysis of how much companies have to order at different retail locations. I mean,
Mhm.
extremely, like, there was mathematicians in like PhD mathematicians that built this system and that worked next door to me. And it was, so how do you apply that to all this SQL? It was crazy hard. Anyway, that's gone.
No, I mean I enjoy the fact that you mentioned the struggles as much as you mentioned the successes.
Yeah.
Because just thinking about it, designing or even going into publishing is tough for a lot of people. And I know that there's people that are now like in the media group, and they're also in the different chats and groups, and they're like, how do I get started on this stuff? And a lot of them don't. I mean, a lot of them are working their full-time jobs and at the same time trying to find a way to sustain it and make something happen. And then they're still working their full-time jobs as they've got a Kickstarter even going through.
Right.
And it's, God bless them for it.
It
Because
was tough. Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I work in a hospital nonprofit as a data specialist. I'm like, I'm okay there. I'll be. It's crazy, but it's just the idea of even trying to do that full time, and
Mhm.
then doing basically a second full time job where you're not sure if the income is going to come in
Right.
from that or not. It's a very uncertain, into the unknown, frozen to. I know it's from kids having kids, but
I've seen
it's
it.
just
I have a 7-year-old.
yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, no, it's just it's beautiful to hear though that you came through it all and you were able to make that just kind of happen for yourself. And now you've got a company that's made some fun games for families to be able to enjoy. You just came out with Fort, which I know our family's looking at very soon, and then you've got some beautiful artwork from Kyle, and you've got Cole working there, and it's a nice combination of people just kind of working well. How did you come about with getting a team like that together and working and synergizing really well with each
Right.
other?
Right. So like Kyle, I met through David, who is the designer of Vast, and it was kind of a funny, like, it was a weird thing that happened where he I asked David, what do you want the art to look like for Vast? And he gave me he'd been looking online, and he said, here are 3 artists I suggest working with. And Kyle's one of them, and he had used some of Kyle's art that was publicly available in the Vast prototype. And so I contacted them all, and basically I heard, too expensive, can't do it right now, which with contracted art it's probably just a polite way of saying I can't never do it. Like I'll be too busy. And then Kyle came in with a reasonable price, and he could get units available. And what we didn't know is Kyle hadn't really done a lot of big projects yet, and so we kind of worked with him like through his own growth. And like there was even from the beginning of Vast to the end of Vast, like if you look at the beginning of 4 to the end of 4, you don't see any develop. Like there is development, but you don't see a ton of development. And if you look at like even like Oath, there's some because he learned how to draw Oath, but it wasn't a ton of development. But if you look at some of the early Vast cards versus late Vast cards, we even redrew a few because there was some growth there. So he joined on, as a contractor, and eventually I was starting to get to the point where I could offer people full-time work. And I said, to me, he's as important to the brand as I am, like to have that look and feel consistently across all the games. So I made him a job offer. At first he did work for us as like a full-time contractor, but we did, now for a long time he's been a full-time employee. And then Cole also, came on to help me as a developer, and then, it turns out he's a far better designer than I am. And we all started working together. And what I quickly realized was, for me, it was important to own. Jeff Tidball, the director at Alice Games, said, "You make more money owning your processes by owning the things that you do instead of hiring them out." And ironically, we use Atlas Games for warehousing. So the irony of that statement. But so I quickly realized that I wanted to build the creative group in a way that we owned everything that we did, and that people felt like they owned the things they were working on, so that when I assigned a project to somebody, it wasn't just make this thing so we can publish it. It was, this is your work. I want you to do well with it, and I want it to be something that you're proud of when you're done, and that you feel you have ownership of it when you're done. I guess from a technical standpoint, I do own these things, but the art of it is definitely, whatever creative process goes into that. Like Cole and Kyle and Nick and Josh own what they've been producing, and I try and be very hands off on that front. I still do come in and say things have to be this way, but not a ton of that. And so we've built our studio run. That's a studio, that's a studio model, and it's more of a cooperative studio model than the kind of traditional game publisher where it's one person sort of driving everything, and they act as a spoke of communication, and they dole out all information to all the other people working on the project and try and collect it all into one piece. It's expensive, but I think that we can't argue with the results.
No, I mean, definitely not. I mean, even Allison right now just said, Kyle's such a great guy. His art is such one of a kind. I love that I can spot his art anywhere. That's very true. I mean, you can look at other games that he has done the artwork for, like one that I think I played with a family that's not a leader game, which is Dungeon Mayhem, which was fun game. I mean, and I think the reason why I liked that game was because of the art. I mean, that's really what drew me to spending, I think it was $15 at the local game store.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. And then of course, sorry, Allison, it came out. So yeah. But no, so tell us what are some of the things that we can be looking out for right now from Leader Games? What can we be looking forward to, supporting, possible Kickstarters in the future? I mean, of course, I automatically, for anybody that's watching, I recommend the Root app that's on Steam. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and anybody that's on here too, they're welcome to play with me. My Steam handle, of course, is The Charity Board Gamer. So you can send a friend request, and I'll be glad to play a game with you anytime. But yeah, tell us about some stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so currently we are working on. For February. We're going to be doing a Kickstarter for the next Root expansion. We're still working on a title, so I wouldn't even say the suggested title. It'll feature a faction, two factions that I've been designing, and then Cole has been designing kind of a new setup system that removes the old priority system from the game and makes setup a little bit more even, a little bit more balanced, I think. And then along with that, there's this thing that adds. There's a component that will add that I'm calling like Midnight Council in my notes. Um, It'll add minor factions to the game, so the players will like, you might be the birds fighting the moles, and then the cats are still on the board and they still do things based on whoever controls the piece that controls the cats. That's it's really cool because what it does is it opens up 2 or 3 player quite a bit because there's now a lot more things to struggle over and fight over during the game. So we're working on that, and then of course it'll come with the cats and the rats and the badgers. That'll be soon, and then Cole and I worked on a game over the summer called Void Lich. Cole has taken over the design of that game, and I think we're going to do like a late spring Kickstarter for that also, and we'll see where we go from there. And that is going to be more like more like a 4X space kind of combat game, but we're building into it kind of a 3 scenario campaign structure so that you play. You kind of start out as similar empires in this like world or this galaxy where the societies collapse and you're all fighting each other. But as you go through the campaign, your factions will become more and more asymmetric as the game goes on, as you acquire new features to your society, and it'll be playable that like your society could grow up into an empire, or it could fall down into just a few ships, and you just be like a flotilla of pirates or something like that in that setting. So we're working on that right now. He's doing primary design on that, and then I'm going to come back and do content creation for him later in the spring as our time opens up from finishing Brute 4. There's going to be a Fort expansion. I believe the title is Cats and Dogs. I'm going to check the title. And that will feature a set of rules for dogs and a set of rules for cats. And we'll be doing that very soon. Cats and Dogs expansion, yep. And of course, Oath will be, from the Kickstarter, we'll be fulfilling in a couple of months, and then we'll be selling it sometime this summer at the retail level.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then within the creative group, I have one project I'm holding over that'll sort of be my reboot of the Vast series. Really streamline it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Somebody's excited about the Ford expansion already. Like, seriously, Allison, had to put it in all caps there. Okay, awesome.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear that with everything going on with 2020 and COVID and of course conventions being closed, the fact that you all are able to still thrive even here in the beginning in 2021, that's good to hear. What have been some things that you've been able to do that maybe, I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty good slate already for the year alone.
Yeah.
Would you attribute any of that to the fact that the pandemic has caused you to more stay at home and
right.
stay out of conventions, basically?
Yeah, I don't really know about that. I know that like our sales have been very strong, and I actually like had forecasted stronger sales than we ended up with. So I'm not mad about our sales by any stretch of the imagination, doing quite well. But it did seem to add like some urgency to our work, that as we like the fans want more stuff, or we'll be able to get people something to play at home. I think that's kind of been a nice little that's added some urgency to it. It's been very strange because we're still only half staffed right now. Half of us are working from home, and I suspect some of us will never go back. I think what's going to happen to the studio is it'll just be the creative team, and the operations team will still work from home after COVID is over. I'm not that confident we're going to be over.
I honestly
in that sense, anyway.
I honestly don't see it going away for at least another year, to be very honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least vaccines are starting to go out. I know we've had our vaccines at the hospital, the medical personnel and the staff. So, and then I know I'm getting my second shot just next week. So,
and my clinic lists me as obese, which is I don't know. I don't feel obese, but apparently I got moved onto a list to get the vaccine. Like they told me what my priority was recently, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess it won't be. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's not going to be next summer either. So
Yeah, I think around this area, I think Saturday, it's for all people, I think around 70 or older that are going to be able to get their
I'm
vaccine.
also 70, so
Yeah. So no, but
no,
I was going to say you're not. No,
no,
you're
no,
definitely not. If so, I wish I could be
no.
and look that way. No, but yeah, no, it's just craziness. I mean, some conventions have already, of course, some have announced that they're going to be quote unquote having their dates, and of course, it's partly I feel like to at least manage cost in case it does have to not happen, so they don't um, lose money and stuff like that. But what are some things that you all have thought about doing in regards to still, like, I know you all have your Discord and stuff like that. But what are some ways that people can be able to almost kind of taste and see the games before they come out, like what you could do at a convention? Have you worked on anything like that?
Well, so last summer we did a stream. We did like 2 week, 3 week for a while, and I think that's part of where my summer went with the concerns of Voidlich is that's a lot of hours to maintain that pace of streaming that often, especially when you have 3 or 4 people like from within the company doing it. So it was good. We did some great design publicly, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again. But we've been maintaining. We now personally maintain the except for the root mod for TTS. We maintain all the mods for TTS for our games, and then we keep those updated as we go, so people can play our games on there. There's already, if you join Woodland Warriors, you can already play the Warlord faction from Root 4 is already available as an object you can download and put into your Root games. So I think that's one way we're going to keep supporting. And that's about it. I mean, Cole and I have been doing a live stream every month also to talk about design.
Yeah, I think you just had one, yesterday?
It was last Tuesday, so the 5th we did, and we discussed the Warlords.
Okay.
And then we're going to do one probably next week where we'll discuss the minor factions in this new setup, and then we'll do the Badgers as we get closer to the Kickstarter.
Gotcha.
Next month.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so the other thing I called you on here, of course, to talk about was something that you all believe in supporting, and I wanted to pull that up real quick, and I'm going to let everybody else be able to see it. We're going to go on here. I'm going to kind of scroll through this, and I'll let you kind of talk about it as I'm scrolling through.
Okay.
so yeah, because I don't know anything about it. No. But yeah, so that way, and I'm also, just for everybody, if they're interested in actually getting involved and reading it for more about this for themselves as well, I'm going to go ahead and put this on here for them. So here we go. We're going to talk about Open Arms of Minnesota, and that's going out to everybody. So yeah, tell us about what this is about.
Yeah, so Leader Games has been involved with 2 food security organizations. One is a more traditional food bank run in St. Paul, and then Open Arms here is run in Minneapolis. And what Open Arms does is they maintain a garden space that they're able to grow vegetables in, and with volunteer help. I think they may have pushed back on that a little bit during COVID, that part of their mission. And the primary mission then, of course, is that as people have become immune compromised because of HIV/AIDS, because of cancer and other concerns. It primarily was HIV/AIDS when they started, but they've expanded their mission to other immunocompromised people. And so they bring their staff and volunteers in. It's a very sterile kitchen environment that they run. They're very strict protocols about how sterile the kitchen is, far beyond, I think, what most food preparation is done in. And it's a very clean kitchen. And they then prepare meals all day for folks that need meals and in those situations, and then pick up drivers, run the meals out to the families that need them, and drop them off. I think they started with lunch, but now I think they do serve all 3 meals. Like you get a kit and it has all 3 meals in it during the day. The days I volunteered for them, I just was delivery. I would just deliver meals to people, and it was great. It was a lot of, like, not a lot of fun, but it was very rewarding to do. So there's a lot of people in tough situations out there, so it was nice to be able to help them. And yeah, so that's their mission. So we've been unfortunately right now we're only able to donate money. They have kind of pushed back on volunteers a little bit right now because of COVID. They're it's even more rigorous because obviously if you expose someone that's immunocompromised to COVID, it's going to be a much worse issue than a typical person. And so they've been doing a little bit less with volunteer labor and focusing more on getting money so they can hire larger staff. I think they do about 2,000 meals a day, or 2,000 clients a day right now, and so that's pretty good. I'm very happy to be helping them.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I'm reading this story about Bill Rowe. I like this, just the fact that 20 years just doing that nonstop, and then it just and then they expanded it to the rest of the community, which is really cool. But I love that that's the way it started. I think that's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful thing that here's a guy that just was cooking meals in his apartment and feeding people that were in need.
And at a time when men with AIDS probably weren't getting a ton of help or recognition of their condition too. So
yeah. I mean, it wasn't till the late 90s where it really got taken seriously.
Yeah.
So, but no.
Yeah. So that's what we help out with.
That is nice. That's beautiful. I know there was another one that we were going to talk about too.
Yep.
Let me see here. Let me pull it up real quick. I just have to find it real quick because I had it. Here we go.
Reclaim Care. There you go. That's actually near our office. You can almost see our office in that photo. So Reclaim Minnesota is, and we actually support Reclaim quite a bit more.
Nothing wrong with that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Reclaim helps transgendered and gay teens find or queer find help with mental health counseling. And so there's it's twofold. Maybe the kids don't want their parents to know that they need help and they can't bill medical insurance for that reason. And so Reclaim covers the cost or it doesn't even cover the cost. They just provide the counseling. So they do that, and then so there's quite a few homeless trans kids, and so they provide counseling for them, and as well as helping them get hooked into the various Hennepin County other systems for providing housing and things like that for kids that are having trouble. And I just found out yesterday that a friend of a friend is one of their counselors, and I was surprised. So
that's awesome.
Lovely surprise. So yeah, I used to work with when I was at McAllister. One of my coworkers there used to be on the board. He recently moved to another state to work at another school, so I think he's left the board, and that's how I found out about them. And he asked for a gift, and we've been giving since then.
That's really cool. I mean, it says right here, 162 youth served in 2018, 80% trans or GNC youth, 65 youth seen weekly, 98% recommend Reclaim. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And you got some great sponsors on here too. So they got Men Enterprise for photography. You've got some local organizations just kind of giving back to the community, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
No, and I think
it's pretty awesome.
No, I mean, I think it's awesome when you see organizations who see the need get involved and try to help out, because I know one of the things that I hear about and that it happens is that there's kids who come out to their parents or they tell them about their identity, and the parents don't have it and they end up out on the streets homeless. So then you have an organization like this that's making it possible for them to get counseling and then helping them find the proper housing or shelters to get them back into society and be able to live the life that they want to live. It's beautiful that they do that. So I think that's important. I mean, it means a lot when, there's organizations, because sadly, and it makes me sad because there's families that do that situation where where they treat their kids different because their kid is different, and there's nothing wrong with their kid being different.
Mhm.
And so this is a beautiful thing. So I like this a lot. So yeah. So no, it's just it says I'll just kind of scroll through this. The thing right down below is on here. It's reclaim.care. If you're interested in donating or reaching out or helping out towards an organization like this, please do. So it's a good tax write-off, people. Tax season's coming up. So yeah, here we go. Mission and history. This I want to read. So Reclaim's mission to increase access to mental health support for queer and trans youth so they might reclaim their lives from oppression in all of its forms. That's beautiful. Because I mean, I don't know what it's like, but I mean, to be rejected, to feel depressed, to have those mental health issues, those are things that we as people deal with. So it's not different. It's just, but people are treated differently. And so to treat them the same and to show them love is the right way to do it. And so organizations like this just make me happy that they exist. So thank you for telling us about that tonight. And thank you for being a part of it. So yeah. But yeah, no, that's a nice thing to sing. So for those of you who are interested in supporting either of them, I've got links both to it. I put them in the chat. So reclaim.care. The other one, like I said, was Open Arms, Minnesota, openarmsmn.org. So if you're interested in donating towards those, making a difference in somebody's life, remember, you can either be a sword, a shield, or a purse, or a wallet, whichever one. But that idea of, okay, you can either help fight for the people, you can protect the people who are needing help, or you can actually donate to help towards the cause so that way they can do something. Please be one of those. That's the best thing that you can probably do. But yeah. I want to say thank you for coming on tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Well, let's see here. Somebody just put another comment on here. It's so important. It's also important for the whole family because when you have family members who don't know how to support their loved ones, still has that. Okay. They aren't just utilized due to family casting out, but organizations like this are there to embrace the WHO family. Okay.
The whole family, I assume.
The whole family, yeah. Yep. So that's awesome.
I'm detecting swipe typing.
What's that?
Maybe that was swipe typing.
Yep. I don't know. No, it's so true though. I mean, the idea that there's a lot of division going on. It hasn't stopped. It didn't stop back in the 60s. It hasn't stopped today. I mean, but we can make differences and we can make impacts to make things a lot better for people. Oh, you're good with the typos, Allison. Don't worry. Chat. But yeah. But no, it's good to see organizations like this continue to thrive. I really especially like the open arms thing because 20 years and then it's just continued to blossom and things where it helps people in need, food wise, that's important. I remember there was a period of time where money was tight and I had to go get meals from a local pantry and that was rough. So, that's just one of those things where, hey, those things are available to people. Take it. Don't say no. Don't be afraid to ask when you need it. So, yeah, organizations like this are great. So I'm happy that we got to talk about it. So, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about leader games before we head out?
No,
Up to you. I think we had a pretty good conversation about it.
Yeah, just look forward to the Kickstarter. It'll be a party. That's kind of our intent, and just stay hopeful. Like it's a rough world right now, but I think there's still a lot of beauty to be found out there.
There really is. There's a lot, and there's a lot of good that we can do together. A lot of people, I think sometimes we say there's a lot of bad in this world. What is going to happen? Who's going to stand up and do something about it? And then really what it takes is us having to look in the mirror and say, I'm here. I should go out and do something to help it versus asking somebody else to do it. So here's our chance to to make a difference. So I admire the fact that you have made it a point to help out towards most of these organizations because you saw a need and you helped them. So that's great. So very cool.
All right.
Yeah. But thank you all, everybody, for coming out tonight. Remember, if we can gather at the table, we can do the same for a good cause. Patrick, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate this.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. We also want to thank our sponsor, Greenbrier Games. Be on the lookout for Lost Ones hitting the Pledge Manager soon.